Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I'm going to talk about all the books that I read in May, which has been the best reading month of my life. I read 40 books in May and I think the best I done in another month was 39. So, whoa, it was not even the plan, it just kind of happened and we have so many books to talk about, I kind of want to scream. So, without further ado, let's just get started. It was a great Asian readathon. First in the month, I've read Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. This one follows this crew that decides to steal back art after being hired by this Chinese company to steal back art that has been taken from China. And it's totally like not even realistic with like these heights. It's not even focused on the heights, it's more of the characters and like where they come from, etc. And like realizing stuff about themselves. But if you just let go of your suspense of belief a bit, then I think it is a really, really good book actually. I really ended up liking it. I really like the writing style, even though it could be a bit repetitive. But I ended up like enjoying the book overall, and I really like the characters as this friend gang, etc. Even though maybe like it seems to be a very like heist focused book, and it wasn't, but I still enjoyed it a lot anyway. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, I think. Then I read Totally Blind Hanako-kun by Ida Iro. This one is set in this school where there are like these 7 mysteries, kind of like paranormal stuff happening there. And one of these mysteries is Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, and our main character gets this bond with him. And then they just go around discovering mysteries and kind of finding them at this school. And it's very, very sweet, chaotic, really, really fun, kind of weird manga. It reminds me of Noragami a bit actually, which is like one of my favorite things, so that's a really good thing. And I'm really enjoying myself, so I'm excited to continue the very long series. Very excited. Then I read How It All Blew Up by Arun Amadi, and this will follow our main character that is gay but his parent and family doesn't know. That's being blackmailed to give money to this dude or else he will out him, and then he can't really fulfill the blackmailing, like what the dude wants, he wants money. So instead he decides to run off, and not like even he first planned to go to New York and then decides to go to Italy instead, where he kind of in a way has the time of his life, really discovers other parts of himself, finds like kind of found family there. And the whole story is actually told from like an interrogation room at the airport, because they created like a huge scene where like in the future we know they found him, and then like they're telling like the whole story of like what happened like from the future while being in this interrogation room. So it's kind of also very family focused at the same time, but also just about the journey that he discovered these people that are queer and like kind of took him in. And it was a very sweet story, and I thought it was really fun. They had like a nice setting, and I really ended up really liking it. It was very sad as well. So yay, but not really. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This one follows this really like sweet sunshine girl that brother's best friend has given the task to take care of her because her brother's going away for this doctor thingy, and he's very much like an overprotective alpha male, so obviously they get a thing, and then a lot of dramatic stuff happens. There is some like plot twists in here that I was like, really? I actually really enjoyed myself. It was very addicting. It was very like, I was laughing out loud because it was like kind of absurd. Obviously this dude is like very, very alpha male-y. If you don't enjoy that, don't like recommend it that much, but it was just overall just very fun. I had a great time with it, and my enjoyment was very high of it, even though I don't think it's the perfect piece of literature, but I really enjoyed myself, and I think I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Sensor by Junji Ito. In this one we have these people that goes to this village, if I remember correctly, and they all have like really sensitive, was it hair, so they can kind of read each other's thoughts, etc. And then there's one girl there that looks like kind of a bit different from everyone else, or like she had like long blonde hair or something. And then our main character is kind of trying to find her. The whole thing is kind of chase after her through like these chapters. It's very weird. I enjoyed it enough. It wasn't like amazing, but like I liked it a lot because Junji Ito just had this weird way of telling stories, and I really enjoy that style, so I had a good time. Then I read Breats and Eggs by Miyako Kawakami. In this one, we have a main character who lives in Tokyo. And then in the first part of the story, she has her sister and her niece visiting her. They talk a lot about like breast operation, and like then the niece is like going to puberty and like struggling with that, etc. And then we, I think, skip a few years later, I don't exactly remember, 8 years later. And then now she's like a writer, and then she's like, can actually live off this. She wanted to do that like before, but she's living off that, and now she's just like questioning her life, etc., and thinking back. It's like a very interesting book. I kind of really like these kinds of books. They're always really weird, but I really enjoy them about your life and discovering stuff and commentary on literally breasts and eggs and just living life as a woman in like a lower class, etc. And I really liked it, so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Daughter of the Moon Goddess, Su Lin Tan. Here we follow literally the Daughter of the Moon Goddess who's trapped on the moon. She needs to escape because they don't know that she exists because the Moon Goddess wasn't supposed to have a child. And then she escapes like down to like where the celestial beings live, and she is trying to enter this competition to win a boon, and that boon would be to free her mother that can't leave the moon, etc. And then she gets to know this prince dude. She kind of becomes his companion, and then yeah, stuff happens after that. I found it very enjoyable. I liked it, but I also felt like there were several books put into one. We like went on very many different adventures, and it was like very much split into these parts, and I enjoyed some parts so much more than other. I feel like the first part was done really well, but like the second part was just like I didn't really feel it as much anymore. And like it was a fine book, and like I enjoyed it overall, but like I didn't love it as I thought I would, and I ended up giving it like 3 out of 5 stars. I think 3.5 maybe. I just didn't love it. But I was surprised because I thought I would love it completely. It was just a bit long, and like, as I said, didn't care for everything as much. Then I read Battle Royale by Hoshun Takami, and this one is obviously about all these kids that is put into an arena to kill each other, and the last one standing will win. And it's kind of a ban on which classes are picked out to do this, but it's always a school class, and it's a lot about all of these in this arena, and on how they all don't really want to kill each other, but they ended up killing each other anyway because they all think the other people are going to kill them. And I just thought it was very interesting. It was very fun. Fun is maybe the wrong word, but I did really like it, and like it was fun to finally read this book after wanting to read it for so long. It was obviously very dark and a bit sad, and I just had like this mix up with the different characters because I thought it was hard to get an overview of everyone. It's like a lot of people talked about other people, a lot of people was in love with other people, but I ended up very much liking it. I just thought I would love it completely and be like a 5-star read completely, but it ended up being like a 4-star read. Like I strongly recommend it, and I strongly like it, but I wish also we like got more answers of like how things worked outside the arena, even though we got some in the end. And the ending, oh, that was a fun time. But yeah, overall just very positive towards it, but like I thought I would like 100% love it, why I love it like 90% instead. Then I read The Liminal Zone by Junji Ito. In this one, it is actually short stories. I thought it was like, you know, a full-length story like the other ones I read by him, but it was short stories, and I actually thought they were very interesting. Some were like very weird, but some were like so good, and to be so short and had such a big impact, it's just the style of storytelling and the style of the art that is just unlike anything else, and I just very much enjoyed this one. So yeah, a big enjoyment, and I'm very excited to read more of his. Next one I'm going to read is Tomi. Very excited, kind of scared. Then I read Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi, and in this one we have these two characters. I was just looking like, because I read 3 Mary books this month, and I was like, which one was what? We follow the girl main character. She goes to college for the first time and is finally away from her mother. That just can be like a bit overbearing, even though she loves her. And then we have our main dude who's like stuck. He doesn't really have afford to continue school, etc. And he lives in this cafe he's working in, and their paths cross, and they become each other's emergency contact after one of them comes in a bit of a tight spot, and the other one helps them, like, now I'm your emergency contact, etc. And they keep like texting and falling in love through text, where like they don't really meet in real life. And then that's it basically. I didn't like love this. I found Mary's writing style a bit actually like difficult to read. The sentences are very like, do people speak like this? I don't know. And I just thought that it had a hard time getting into the writing, and it happened in all the books I read by the author this month. But like I didn't hate it, obviously. I find it an enjoyment. I just didn't like care that much about these characters, and like it didn't give me like that emotional punch I like in my contemporaries, but it was like well written and like good enough, but I like didn't love it. Also, trigger warning for sexual assault, but I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read Yolk by Mary H.K. Choi. This one was my favorite by the author. I gave it 4 stars, and this one follows a main character who lives in New York, and her sister also lives in New York, but they never see each other. And then her sister suddenly calls her over, and it's like, hey, I have cancer now. And then it's kind of about her wanting her to be there, but like can't really ask for this. And the main character being very much like, I like to live in this very shitty apartment while my sister's super rich and I could have lived with her, but apparently not. And then it's just about kind of their relationship. It's not about, like, I was gonna say, it's obviously it's very sad to get cancer and it's not a good thing, but it's not about, like, it's not focused on that. It's more focused on their relationship and our main character living in the city and, like, feeling so many things, that never seeing her family and also having an eating disorder. And it's very sad. It had a bit more, like, I guess, the emotional punch I wanted that I didn't get from Emergency Contact, but I really liked it. Again, I had a struggle with the writing style, but, like, I think most people wouldn't. It's just me. I don't know, but I like it. I like it a lot, and I get it, as I said, 4 out of 5 stars. Also, I just like books set in New York City. Then I read Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. This is the second series in, like, the book set in Shanghai. I don't remember. It has a certain name. I just can't remember it. But it's the first one in the Foul Lady Fortune duology. And in this one we follow Foul Lady Fortune, who's one of the characters from These Violent Delights. Literally always forget the name of those other books. These Violent Ends. You get what I mean. The other series, which is your Romeo and Juliet retelling. And here we just have Assassin and Mortal Spy. And they need to, like, do stuff. And she needs to work with those other dudes to, again, save Shanghai again. Or, like, investigate / spy on, like, the other factors within the city. A lot of things is going on. To be honest, didn't really love this that much. I found it okay, but it wasn't, like, that gripping. I didn't really get who it was spying for. But maybe that's just me, I'm stupid. But I just, when they were spying, that's what I mean. I didn't understand what they were doing to, like, get answers. And it was just, like, a lot of pieces that I feel like didn't fit that well together. Like, this journey there was just a bit tedious and boring. But, like, the answers we got was very interesting. And I'm intrigued enough to read the second book. And also I've done DNF series. But it was just, like, I was just bored. And I was just, like, I just felt there was a lot of walking around and talking and saying you're badass, but I didn't really feel it. So yeah, I gave it, like, 2 out of 5 stars. Like, I enjoyed it. It was okay, but I didn't really, like, love it. So it was a bit, like, meh. Then I read Oshi No Ko Volume 1 by Akasaka and manga Yoko Yari. I was about to go on with the synopsis, but, like, I didn't know anything. The synopsis doesn't tell you anything of, like, what it is about. I feel like you can't say. It's, like, it's a bit weird. It's a bit creepy. It's unlike anything I ever read. But I make her to work in this hospital. And he's really a fan of this idol. She comes in there for reasons. And their paths connect forever. And I'm just like... And when I was reading the story, I was just a bit like, what is even going on? Like what is this? And then when the end came, it, like, we got a different plot again. And I was just like, is this what it's gonna be about? I honestly don't know. I feel like in the next one, we're gonna solve that in, like, 5 seconds. And then it's gonna be about something else again. Like, I honestly don't know how to explain this to you. But it's weird. It is very weird. I really liked it. Because I like weird shit. And I'm very excited to get the next one. I think actually I got a message yesterday that the next one is shipped. Very excited. Have no idea what's coming for me. But just very excited. So weird. I feel like I need to be vague because you cannot know what this is about. Because it's weird. Then I read the last Marion book, which was Permanent Record. And in this one we have a main character. And he is also struggling financially. It seems to be a theme in the books. And he doesn't really know what he's gonna do, actually. That's what he's struggling with. And then he meets this very famous person. It's like a young singer that is very famous. And then they kind of fall in love a bit. And then he goes, like, a bit of, like, tremendous journeys with her. While at the same time, they have no figure ring out for his life. And it's basically about that. Didn't love this as much. Like, I think I liked it, I guess, more maybe than Emergency Contact. I think I would rank them Yolk, this one, then Emergency Contact. I don't know if anyone cared. Read them all one and after one another. I kind of got used to the style and, like, seeing the themes in the books. And, like, I like it overall. I just, like, don't think the stories are that interesting for me. But yeah, I think I gave this 3 or 4. 3.5. I don't remember. Then I read The Borrowed by Chan Ho-kei. And this one is set in Hong Kong. And we have this Inspector Kwan, his name. And he's dying. That's, like, the first chapter. And then we have, like, this case that's kind of being solved while he's dying. And then we go to the next chapter where we skip back in time. So we see him, like, when he's not dying and solving cases. And then every story he gets younger and younger and younger. So we kind of see it through his whole career. And we have all these different cases. Some connect a bit, some don't. And it's very much like we get to see, maybe, like, explain the case from someone else, like, I know you got robbed, for example, and then like he explained what happened, and then he solves it like this, and he's like, do you know? And everyone's like, no, and then he kind of explains it, and I love that kind of style. But some of them weren't like that either. It was like it was happening on the page as we were there, and then he knew kind of what was going on, and like he does weird stuff and you're like, what is he doing? But it's really because he knows what's going on, and it was really fun. He was really smart, and I really like it. I mean, he kind of like had under subordinate, whatever that is called, that is kind of taking over for him, and we can also see the development from like when he's like a newbie to like where he is and gonna kind of take over for him when he dies. I enjoyed it a lot. It was very fun. Some of like the mysteries weren't as interesting. There were like 2 of them I like they disappeared, but the rest was really great, so I give it like a really strong 4 out of 5 stars. Then we have the Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri. This one is a sequel to the Jasmine Throne, and in that one we have this princess that is kind of trapped, and then our main character becomes her handmaiden. They also fall in love, and then she helps her escape while she also has like her own thing going on. Like the handmaiden, she has like all the magic stuff going on, etc. It's not just her helping her, and I really enjoyed it. I really like the world and it's written. I really like their relationship. In this one we suffer a bit for it being a second book in a trilogy. Not a lot happens in like the first part of the book. It's just like putting some pieces here and there, and then they need to kiss a bit, and then in the end it's like that's one of the things that are happening to set up the 3rd and final book, and there was action there, and I enjoyed it, and I liked the series overall. I didn't love this as much because the first book, you know, is to world build and introduce everyone, and then the second book is to set up the 3rd book and continue the conflict, and then the 3rd book is supposed to be the explosion. But I'm very excited for the 3rd book, and I enjoyed the series overall. I don't remember if I gave this 3 or 4. I feel like it was like a 3.5. I don't know. And the next one I read was To Your Eternity Volume 4 by Yoshitoki Oima, and this one we have this orb we're actually following. They are like can transform into people they know when they died, so they can kind of live as different creatures, and then they kind of just learn about life and living because they don't really know a lot or anything. And then there's this thing hunting them that wants their powers, I think, but we don't really know what or who or where or where. They just live their life. It's very sad most of the time, but it's very good. It's very interesting, very weird, very different. Apparently what I enjoy. Then I read Cafe Con Lychee by Emily Lee, and in this one we have these 2 dudes that both have like cafes, food places that sell foreign food, and then there's just new places that open that takes all the customers, so they kind of decide to collab together to save their places, and then they kind of hate each other a bit from before, but now they need to work together, you know. I kind of enjoyed it a bit, but I was actually very much annoyed on my characters a lot. They were very bratty and whiny, and I know they're teenagers, but like there was just they annoyed me a lot. So I generally also was very annoyed with the characters in Meet Cute Diaries. I might just not be the person for Emily Lee books, which is a bit sad to say. I don't know, it's just something the characters rubs me the wrong way of how they act towards others. They never like get like a proper development either. Like it's never like, you shouldn't have acted like this, and maybe be like, oh, I'm sorry. No, it's always just like other people need to adjust for them, and I'm like, I actually was a bit emotional for them in the end, where like they had like these family moments, and I'm weak for those, so I did enjoy that, like how kind of like the family had a development in their relationships, but overall like didn't love it. I gave it like a 3 out of 5 stars. Then I have The Bone Char Emperor by Andrea Stewart. This one is a sequel to The Bone Char Daughther, which I enjoyed, but like I didn't love it, so I was curious to see how I would feel about this one. And in that world we have like bone magic that the emperor has, so he had like different constructs made out of this bone magic, and I think he uses like the like bones from all his people in the world. He's gotten bones from them to like make all this function, and like they weaken because he uses their bones, kind of like the people in the world kind of they get sick and eventually will die because he keeps using their bones, but then he kind of has to protect them against like this unknown phone that existed a while ago. It's a very weird explanation. And we have our main character, the Daughther, that is like trying to solve these clues to prove her worthy to like take over and like learn about bone magic from her father. And then we also like have this other point of view that is a smuggler, and then these 2 women that are together that are like on this one of the islands in the world and like working for other stuff. And this one obviously we follow the continuation of that. It has like very interesting developments. It has like a different kind of other magic system than like is not the bow magic. And then we have, I mean, a lot of like politicalness, especially after like the end of the last book. But it does suffer again from second book syndrome. Not a lot of things happens in the beginning. It's just a lot of like talking and walking and just be like, what should we do? And I'm like, I don't know, just do anything. So that I don't need to read 500 pages of you doing nothing. But there is stuff happening definitely, and developments and reveals, etc. But I feel like some of the reveals that was very cool and interesting in the first book didn't even come to play or like had any like huge role in this one. So it was a bit disappointing in that regard. And I think I ended up giving like 2 out of 5 stars, which is what I think I read in the first one. So we should see what I feel about the last one, which I do have. And I am excited to read it. I just like don't love the series, but I found it enjoyable. Then I read A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy Eileen. And in this one we have a main character who like has kind of apprenticed a bit with her mother to learn about poisons, etc. and like brewing. And then her mother dies of poisoning, and then her sister also got the same poison and is dying of it, but she's not dead yet. So she goes to enter this competition to maybe get this cure if she wins for her sister, which is had to do with brewing poisons, etc. Poisons, I meant to say potions, but words. And then she goes into this competition. It reminded me a bit of Daughther of the Moon Goddess. Again, had like a competition, the focus kind of thing. And I liked it enough, but I just didn't find it like super engaging and interesting. It was kind of like political stuff happening as well, but I feel like they weren't that well developed. I just wanted to know more about this potion stuff, but I feel like it wasn't enough of it. It wasn't terrible, but it was like an okay fun ride. I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars. The next one I read was A Girl from the Other Side, volume 12, Side Stories by Nagabe. The Girl from the Other Side series is over in volume 12, but in this one we have like the side stories that kind of happens before the end, because like the foundation of the series is the relationship with Shiva and teacher, and here we like you get stories with them on how they lived together before everything else went down, and it was like the sweetest thing. It's like exactly what you love about the series, and going back to that was very bittersweet and sweet. And in this series we follow Shiva, who lives on the outside, with teacher, who is like one of these creatures, which is what you become when you get this curse. But we have all the other humans living on the inside of these walls, but Shiva can live on the outside, and why isn't she cursed yet? I don't know. And will she be? You need to read it to find out what is going on, but overall just very sweet but very sad. Then I read Silver Under Nightfall by Rincha Peko, and this one we had poly vampires, which is all I knew about it. So our main character is like a human, and he has hunted vampires before, and then he starts investigating into his mother's death, I think. Or is he investigated like a virus that vampires goes all crazy by? And then he also investigates his mother's death. And he gets involved with these 2 other vampires that are together, and then also want him, and then he wants them. And betrayal happens, and yeah. But yeah, it sounds a bit cool, but overall very long. My least favorite read, I think, for the whole month. And I was so excited for this because I thought I would love it, because I love other Rincha Peko books. But it just wasn't it. The writing was just so weird. It was just, I don't even remember anymore because I deleted it from my brain, but it was just so weirdly told that I couldn't really get into the story. Finding the pieces of the story, it was all like scattered, and I couldn't deal. Okay, so I give it 2 out of 5 stars, and I'm very disappointed, like so disappointed. And I was so hyped because it has such cool concepts in it, but finding them in here, very difficult. Then I finally read The Art of Prohecy by Wesley Chu. In this one we have the chosen one that is gonna save the world from like an evil water clan that is invading them, wants them, I don't even know. But it turns out that maybe hasn't been raised that correct. Everyone knew it was the prophesized, but they basically just tried to create him into the pawn. And then we have our other main character, who is like a old warrior lady, and she's like, I will take over his training. But then other things happens, then you need to see if this works out. A very interesting concept, very interesting just world, and I've been actually thinking about this book a lot lately. When I'm not reading, I'm just thinking about like the concept, how it's written. I really, really, really liked it. It was so good. We also had some other point of views from like the other sides of things going on with them, related to them. I don't want to say more because it's a bit like of what happens in the beginning of the book. I feel like you need to read it to find out. I just really like the setup of the story. I really like the world. I really like the characters. I really like how it was written. Battles, don't know what was going on in them, but the rest, really, really good. And I was just waiting for the end to like really spark me, and it was very good, but it didn't spark me to be a 5-star read. So it ended up being like a very strong 4-star. and I just had a really great time, and I'm so excited for the sequel to come later this year. I have it pre-ordered after reading this, so I cannot wait. Then I have A Conjuring of Light, which I'm fully aware is not Asian, but it was just my audiobook leftover from April, and I wanted to finish it in this month because it felt stupid to start a new one when I never could finish this one. I was on an audiobook slump for like the last 2-3 months. I got a new headset now. I'm into it now. I used to finish like one a week or more. I'm doing it now, okay? And this one I used ages on, so this is the third book, obviously, in the Dark Shadow Magic trilogy, which obviously has, like, the different parallel Londons, blah, 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 blah. I assume most people know, and people who travel between them, and this is a conclusion to the first trilogy. I always reread this in preparation for Threads of Power, which I'm very excited for. It's more like one of my favorite series, but actually, like, I was kind of let down by it, my reread, which is so sad. The first book is a 5-star, the second book ended up being a 3-star, which I thought was being my favorite, and this one was, like, okay, it was 4 stars, but it takes a lot of time for things to happen. It just feels very long sometimes, and it's a very like flowery writing that I really didn't notice before. It's like we need the perspective of everyone looking at someone dramatically and thinking something dramatic, and it was just a very much a lot of it that I didn't really think about before. It was just like, oh, Lila looked at Cal, and he looked glorious. He was truly the Dark One. Or like, he isn't the Dark One, by the way. I just said something. And then it's like, Cal looked at Lila, and she, and I was just like, geez, we get it, you know? And it's just about like how every character is like a certain kind of character, and we need to like punch it in all the time. Like, oh, she's like this, and Lila's like that, and Cal, he is always like that, and he's always like that. And I'm just like, it's a bit much, you know, and I really like these characters, and I really like this world, and I really, really love V. Schwab. I have, like, the biggest Schwab collection of, like, all my books, but it was just stuff that annoyed me a bit that didn't annoy me before, I guess, that, like, I sound so negative, but there was just things that bugged me that I didn't notice before, which is fair to say, but I really enjoyed the series, and, like, the world overall. I'm very curious to see how the next series will be, if it will be very different. It's been like a while since this one, how much it has evolved the world, and like how the different characters will be, and to see the others again. I'm very excited. So yeah, I sound negative, but I can criticize what I love. Then I read The Dragon Reborn by War Jordan. Again, not an Asian book, obviously, but I need to read it for Wheel of Time along. And in this one, I'll have to explain Wheel of Time. I don't really know. We have these people from this village that is told, hey, one of you is the chosen one, and they go on this huge journey in this world to fight the Dark One, basically. And in this one, we follow the developments, what happened in the last 2 books. I love this series. I really love the characters. I find the writing tedious, but I love the journey that we go on, how they become your best friends. I don't really know what more to say. If we had a live show, we will link that below if you want to hear our discussion on it. I am having a good time. It's just weird to discover it all again and notice all these more details that I didn't notice before, and how it all connects together, because obviously I didn't know it the first time I read it, and I'm having a good time with that, so yay. I read 4 out of 5 stars the first time and the second time. Then I read The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshni Chakshi, and this one we follow our main character who is married to this bit of a mysterious woman that he doesn't know that much about. She seems a bit like mysterious and I would say magical, and then they visit her childhood home, and then the questions are being asked about her. And then we also follow another perspective with her growing up and like seeing what happened in the past, kind of, and they live kind of in a magical house in a way. And it was very interesting. I really liked how the story was told and how it unfolded, and just how you couldn't stop reading because you want to see where the story would go, and just overall just very well written, very well done characters and atmosphere. The thing is that it's kind of plot twist here, and I knew what that plot was going to be because I just read this kind of book many times, so I knew it. But I still enjoyed the stories a lot, and I gave it a really strong 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Run the Riot, Volume 3 by Keiko Gaku. This one follows a trans teen who starts a clothing brand to express himself. And in this second one, we had like a really weird cliffhanger that I like didn't love, but it was fine. And I wanted to see how it would develop here. I don't know how I feel anymore. I don't know if I'm comfortable or like if it's fine. I honestly don't know. I'm not loving the series as much as I did in the first one, so I give it like a 3, which I didn't set a rating of on the other manga, but usually I give them like all a 4, unless I rarely give them 5, and sometimes I give them 3 if I feel like So yeah, we shall see how the last volume will treat me. And I read Life Ceremony by Sayaka Murata, which is a short story collection from this author, which is now one of my favorites. They are so weird. I love them so much. It's a lot about like cannibalism, all about women in society and how they're mostly like a womb, a lot about so many things that like it's brought up in such a weird way. And I feel like no one else can write this weird and just be like, oh, that's weird, but okay, you're just dealing with that. And I just loved it so much. I don't know how to even describe it, but it's just so weird stories. And if you know with the author's style, especially like Convenience Store Woman, Earthlings, it follows that style and like weirdness of society and a commentary of society, and I love it. 5 out of 5 stars, okay? It was amazing. It's a book I forgot to take out of my bookshelf. I need to go and get it. I struggle finding it because I reshelved and don't know where anything is anymore. But I read Darius the Great Deserves Better by Vic Corham. This one I read on audiobook with Erica, and it's obviously the sequel to Darius the Great Is Not Okay, which follows Darius, whose family goes to Iran because they need to visit his grandparents because his grandfather is sick, and it's all about him finding himself and repairing the relationship with his father and like being depressed and just so many deep inner turmoils for him, and it's just, I love them so much, both of them. I love the book so much. I don't know why they hit so deep, but they are literally like my favorite contemporaries ever, which says a lot. And the sequel, I was scared, wouldn't hold up to the first one. This is my second time reading it, but it is so good as well. I just feel like all the stuff that was in the first one is not like we go back on that, but we just find new stuff that it's life, there's always new stuff coming at you, and it's just with his family and with himself, and I had so much love for this series. So obviously I gave it 5 out of 5, but like it was a reread, so yeah. I also cried. Like there was tears. And I was like, dang, you read this before, Sandra, but I love it so much. Then I read Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim, which was for Final Book Support Group, and this was the final anthology sequel to Six Crimson Cranes. And I didn't love this as much as the first one. The first one was so magical and cool, and like had really like cool, I was gonna say setup, where like the princes are cursed, so all of them become swans, and our main character is also with another curse and is trying to like break this curse. And in here, I was just like, can it be as good as the first one? Apparently not, because I loved a lot the first one. Well, this felt totally okay. I felt that main characters did all the stupid random shit, and then like there wasn't like anything to keep it going in the same way. I felt like I almost wish the first one was a standalone, because it could have been. After everything went down, I feel like it could have been a standalone. So this wasn't needed, and I kind of want to reread the first one and kind of just never reread this. I ended up giving like a 3 out of 5 stars because I like the characters in the world, but I just didn't give what the first one gave, and I'm sad. On the totally same tone, I read Shadowsong, also a conclusion to this duology. And this one, the first one is a labyrinth retelling, and it was actually very fun and magical, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it like 4 out of 5 stars. And this one, I was like, where are we going? I don't even know what we're doing. Are we even doing anything that gives meaning? I don't even know. We traveled a bit. There was some music. There was some weird people. I don't even know. Like, it had nothing going on. I was just like, the end obviously like gave some answers to the first one, but that was it basically. Disappointing. I give it 3, but I feel like I maybe should have given it 2. I don't even know. But again, why sequels to duologies not great? I don't know. Then I read Unravel the Dusk by Elizabeth Lim. Again, a conclusion to a duology, and the first one I enjoyed so much. We had like a tailor that entered this competition to become like the royal tailor, and it was like adventurous and fun, and we went on this journey to find this stuff, and that was good. I was so surprised. What did this one give me, huh? Nothing, apparently. After the first one, I don't even know what we did in this one. What? We walked around a bit. We had like some like politicalness happening, but it was just nothing. Nothing to keep me in like the first one did. We didn't like have like a magical quest or journey. It was just a bit like, oh no, we are in turmoil. Let's walk around and be stressed, and yeah. So again, apparently didn't love conclusions to duologies this time around. But yeah, I gave it like 3. I really liked the first one a lot. Could have been a standalone, once again. Then this book is obviously not Asian, but I read The Dream Thieves by Maggie Water because it was the next one that we pulled on our list, me and Erica, for the audiobook we read. And this one I listened to while I reshelved my whole life. It was not amazing. Like, I already didn't love this. This was a reread, and I already, like, when the first time I read it, I didn't love it. I gave it like 2 stars. But this time I gave it a 3. I actually dug more. I could see more of like the atmosphere and like where the story was going this time around. It basically follows Blue, who has been told all her life that when she says the love of her life, he will die. So she doesn't kiss anyone, and then she meets these 4 Raven boys that like come into her life, and she doesn't get a relationship with all of them, but like they are looking for like this magical sleeping Raven King thing. Not terrible this time around. I just don't like the narrator at all, but I don't want to read them physically. But it had like interesting things happening, and like after like you got a hold of the story and saw what was going with the different elements, didn't hate it. Gave it 2 out of 5 stars. That's better than 2 out of 5 stars than last time, so think about that. Then I read Komi Can Communicate by Tomohito Oda. And this one follows Komi, who really can't communicate. She can't really talk, she's too shy and has too much social anxiety. And then she gets like a friend and wants to make 100 friends all together. So her friends helps her making new friends, and she like hangs out with them and does like normal friends things that she never had before. And it's very, very sweet and wholesome. And I'm really enjoying it so far. A billion volumes though, but I'm going. I'm more than 3. I know it's like 19 out or whatever, but I'm coming there, I promise. Then the next audiobook we got was Ruination by Anthony Reynolds. So this one is a League of Legends book, obviously, and it's the first like full-length one, because the other ones are like comics or like short stories. And in this one, we basically follow what happens before the Shadow Isles become the Shadow Isles in the game. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it doesn't really matter. Basically, it's about a king who loves his wife deeply, and then she's poisoned and they're trying to cure her. Obviously, we know where the story is going because we played the game, but I had forgotten how it went down because I don't really keep up that much with the lore and stuff. So I knew where it was going, but then I was surprised that this was what it was about, because I thought it was about after that, but apparently not. And it was so sad. And we follow like, you can see the different characters from obviously the game, and like when you like meet the character, you're like, oh, it's them, and it's so much fun. I actually think you could enjoy this a lot even if you haven't played the game, because it just was a very compelling and good story. I really liked how the world was built and how it was written. I thought it was written so well. I was scared it would be terrible, because obviously you are a bit skeptical with a book made from a video game, you know. But I love League of Legends and the world. I don't love the game that much because it's terrible, obviously, because tilted. But this book was so fun. I want more books like this from different places, following different characters. I need it. It was so fun. I didn't think I would be so invested. It was so engaging. I was just like on my toes for what was gonna happen, and I knew what was gonna happen, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars because it was amazing. Me and Erica still talking about like, why was it so good? We don't know, but it was so good. So happy it was good, and I just had like the best time, and I'm so happy for myself. Then again, not Asian, because I had to read Within the Sanctuary of Wings by Marie Brennan. This was for my Patreon series read-along, so I had to like read it anyway. And this is like the 5th one in the series. There's one more coming, and I'm starting a new read-along in July. So actually this gave what I thought the story was gonna give from the first book. And I could think that this could have been the first book and we could evolve from this. But then at the same time, we wouldn't have the foundations that we had if we had started on book 1 with this. But basically, it follows Lady Trant, who is a scientist, but the world is against her because she's a woman, and in this world, women are not scientists, basically. And then she goes out anyway and does what she wants and discovers things about the world and dragons. But it's not really focused on dragons. It's more about like, here's all the drama that happened that everyone has been speculating for a billion years with some giants. And I enjoyed it a lot. This one is like my favorite in the series, I think. And I enjoyed the stories a lot overall. But like, I feel like it took some time for me to adjust to what the series really was, as to how I thought the series would be, from like how the covers are, etc. But it was a good time. So I gave it this one 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Loveboat Reunion by Abigail Hingeran. I was reading it for Fine Boys to Poker, but decided to finish it like on the last day instead of the month. And this one is the sequel to Loveboat Taipei, which is basically a lot of people sending the kids to learn Chinese and to like meet other people, maybe get married, etc. And we will follow 2 of the characters from the first book. I'm not going to say their names, but I didn't say the name of everyone here, so it doesn't really matter. It's like about them after Loveboat and like how they're living their life now, in a way. It's literally like right after as well, by the way. And I really enjoyed the characters here a lot. I really enjoyed the different journeys. I really loved to know what was going on with them. I thought they were well-rounded people with like their problems and what they need to do, and I just really enjoyed it. Actually, I was very invested. I was just, oh my god, this is so good. I'm sorry, my parents are vacuum cleaning. It was just so good. And I was so surprised that I was so invested and like cared so much, and just really enjoyed how it was written, and like it was just very well done. I am giving a very strong 5 stars to this one. More people are even like a 4.5 because my enjoyment was so high, and it was like a really well written book, and just how it came together and like how things played out. Just enjoyed it so much. I actually heard that the movie for the first one is coming this summer. I'm like, what? And actually I enjoyed this more than the first one, so I hope we will get a movie from this one as well, because just enjoyed the story for this one so much more, and I think I like the characters here more than in the first one. It's actually really interesting because some of the characters here are in the first one and do some weird shit, but then like development, you guys, it's great. You can see it here. Then I read In the Watchful City by Jin Lu. This one was the first gaze pick for May, and this one follows a main character who is like a guardian for Air City, and then a stranger comes into the city and tells a story from the outside world, and Air wants to like, I don't know, discover it, I guess. It was a bit weird. I didn't really get the short stories. I guess we're gonna discuss it in a live very, very soon. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. Don't really know what my rating is, between 3 to 4. I would decide after the live, I guess. Then I read Blue Flag by Kaito Volume 6. And this one follows 3 main characters that all are in love with each other, but they don't know that the other one are in love with each other in the beginning. And then, yeah, it's just follows their relationship and life and high school and figure out their futures. And it goes much deeper than I thought it would, so I'm actually very much enjoying it. I used ages getting through this 8-volume series, so I'm hopeful I will finish it soon now this year. Yeah, it's very enjoyable actually, and I'm surprised by how I'm liking it. I like this volume a lot. I think the last volume was where I felt a bit meh, or the one before, I don't remember. But now I'm really liking it again, so we shall see. And the last book of the month, the one I ended up with, was Yellowface by Art of Prohecy. It was amazing. It was so good. It followed obviously this white main character that steals the story from her Asian friend that dies, and then she says it's her own book. Then she becomes really successful from this. It's a lot about like Twitter culture, cancel culture, what you can write and not write, publishing and how it works and how it's like not amazing. A lot of different sides of the story, and a lot of like different commentary I think on society in general, which I thought were really interesting things. A lot of things that I think myself, a lot of things I didn't know about, you know, about publishing and stuff. It's very very good, really well written, kind of like absurd, where I laughed several times. It was just so well done, and I give it 5 out of 5 stars. I have 3 5-star reads this month if I don't count like rereads. Livid. And I feel like most of my reads were okay. Some I felt like, you know, man, 3-star about. All like a lot of 4 stars, and I read Yellowface, so nothing else can compare. I knew I was gonna love this, and I knew it would be amazing, and it was. I can't wait for more of crying. I don't know how it works, because it gave exactly what I wanted to give. I want to reread this soon actually, because I feel like when I was reading it I was just like trying to get through it and be like, I need to know what's gonna happen, I need to know. And then now I feel like reading another time will make me appreciate it for what it was even more. Not saying that I did now, but like I want to reread already. Like when I read Babel, I want to reread it instantly. So so good. So happy I read it, and so happy I loved it. And that is it. That is all. You can't see that. I don't know why I did that. I assumed you could see that. That is all the 40 books I read in May. It was a lot of books. I'm tired of my voice. I don't know how I did it either, but I'm probably never going to do it again because I'm becoming a student very soon. I had a good reading month. I'm happy. You should see me soon in a new video. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a yellow heart emoji down below if you enjoy this. And you should see me very soon. Goodbye!